Now, a Democrat House of Representatives can act as a check on President Trump's power. Is that good news for Europe?
Well, I think that there's a hope that the Democrats might try to pivot Donald Trump towards a more pro-EU agenda, maybe pro-climate change agenda, but that would be a very difficult fight. In actual fact, Donald Trump expanded his control and power in the Senate, which actually deals more with foreign policy. So there'll be quite still a strong concern from the EU regarding Donald Trump's foreign policy. As we know, he's been quite a negative when it comes to free trade. Also, he's abandoned somewhat the multilateral system when it comes to North Korea. And most recently, he reimposed sanctions against Iran because America pulled out of the JCPOA. And that's a huge concern in Brussels right now because the EU hasn't really sufficiently responded to these sanctions and how they're going to impact on European companies. In fact, what the Trump administration did was exempt two countries, Greece and Italy, from sanctions on importation of Iranian oil for 6 months. And the diplomats I've been speaking to were saying, why is the Trump administration doing this? Is he trying to divide and conquer Europe? So there'll still be quite a lot of concern about the confrontations to come between the EU and the Trump administration.
And Shona, how do you think these results are going to be received in Europe? Have there been any reactions thus far?
Well, there hasn't been a huge reaction, but what they'll be looking at is, if you look at his campaign and the policies and his agenda, he really doubled down, in fact, probably expanded on his anti-immigration, anti-refugee rhetoric. And so there'll be a concern that that might be replicated in the European Parliament elections in Europe next year. Because as we know, the rise of populism in Europe is quite similar to that in the United States. And so will these parties then decide to, exacerbate their position when it comes to refugees and immigration? One thing we've been talking about all day is that there is a consensus in America that America is divided. So the EU will be worried that Europe will be even more divided. So there's real concern about that. I mean, there's probably some hope that he has been chastened somewhat, but then again, that's par for the course for any sitting president. I think that really there'll be disappointment there hasn't been enough of a kickback against Donald Trump in the United States during these midterms.